Thank you so much, sports fans and boxing fans in particular, for tuning in to the A Cut Above channel, where we are embarking on our maiden voyage with our content presentation. Fans, thank you very much for tuning in, and please do hit the like and subscribe buttons up front. This will ensure that you receive future content produced by this channel. And now, we would like to inform you that our very first episode will be entitled The Top 10 Boxing Matches with the Most Significant Racial Overtones. That's right, the top 10 boxing matches with the most racial overtones. You may be wondering, what does the Cut Above channel mean by racial overtones? Simply, it's boxing contests or fights which involve opponents who were of different races. Specifically for this edition, black versus white fighters, whether they be African Americans versus Caucasian Americans, or African Americans versus some international Caucasian representative. Without any further ado, fans, we do hope that you'll find this presentation interesting. So let's get started. We will go from 10 to 1 in presentation, number 10 to number 1. In the number 10 position, we have a contest that took place on June 7th, 1993, where Tommy Morrison had a unanimous decision over the veteran George Foreman. In the number 9 position, we have a contest that occurred on October 26, 1972, where the great Muhammad Ali stopped Jerry Quarry in the 3rd round. Moving on to number 8, we had a contest on December 1st of 2018, where Tyson Fury, hailing out of the UK, took a split decision over his nemesis, James Wilder. And in the number 7 position, we have a historic fight that occurred on August 26, 2017, where Floyd Mayweather TKO'd Conor McGregor in the 10th round to lift his record to 50-0, which was a significant achievement in the annals of boxing. Moving on to the number 6 position, we had a fight that occurred on June 19, 1936, of historic proportion. That fight involved Max Schmeling of Germany versus Joe Louis of the United States. In that contest, Schmeling knocked out Louis in the 12th round to lift the heavyweight championship. At number 5, we have a fight that occurred on October 20th, 2000, where Mike Tyson himself scored a 3rd round TKO over the Polish legend Andrew Golota. Moving on to number 4, we have a contest that occurred on June 11th, 1982, where the Eastern assassin himself, Larry Holmes, dispatched Jerry Cooney, hailing from Huntington, Long Island, New York, by a TKO in the 13th round. In the number 3 position, we have a legacy fight that took place in the early 20th century between giants of the trade, Jack Johnson and Jim Jeffries. Johnson registered a 15-round TKO in that contest over Jeffries. In the number 2 position, we have a fight that took place on June 22nd, 1937, again featuring Joe Louis, this time his opponent, Jim Braddock. The outcome, Louis TKO over Braddock in the 8th round. That was a straight knockout of Jim Braddock in the 8th round by Joe Louis on that occasion. And fans, we are ready to move on to the top of our list at number 1. Number 1, we have another significant historical match, this time the rematch that took place between Joe Louis and Max Schmeling on the date of June 22nd, 1938, at the venue, Yankee Stadium, the Bronx, New York. That was a mammoth contest, internationally acclaimed and followed as you had African American Joe Louis, born in Alabama, taking on Schmeling, born in Germany. At that time, Nazi Germany. For the second time, those two giants of the sweet science of boxing would cross paths. This time around, Joe Louis was the victorious one. It took Joe Louis a mere one round to dispatch of Schmeling. Max Schmeling, who many had seen as a Nazi sympathizer at that time, but which wasn't the case at all. Schmeling did not support the Nazi war effort in any shape, way, or form. Schmeling, a gentleman, went on to become best friends with Joe Louis and even reported in some circles paid for the great heavyweight's funeral. So there you have it. That is our top 10 of the 10 most significant boxing matches with racial overtones. We have for you a very wonderful treat that we'll present to you shortly via audio. This involves the coverage of that famous second encounter between Joe Louis and Max Schmeling for the heavyweight championship of the world, in which Joe Louis won the match and the heavyweight title. The announcer for that specific clip is none other than the legendary NBC radio announcer Clem McCarthy.
And she's about to start with this Yankee Stadium packed to the doors. There isn't an empty seat. Joe Louis in his corner, prancing and rubbing his feet in the rosin. Max Schmeling standing calmly, getting last word from Doc Casey, and they're ready with the bell just about to ring. And there we are. And they got to the ring right together with Arthur Donovan stepping around them. And Joe Louis is in the center of the ring. Max going around. Joe Louis led quick with two straight lefts to the chin. Both of them light, but as the men clinch, Joe Louis tries to get over two hard lefts, and Max ties him up in the breakaway clean. On the far side of the ring now, Max with his back to the ropes, and Louis hooks a left to Max's head quickly, and shoots over a hard right to Max's head. Louis, a left to Max's jaw, a right to his head. Max shoots a hard right to Louis. Louis with the old 1-2. The first the left and then the right. He's landed more blows in this one round than he landed in only 5 rounds of the other fight. And there Max Schmeling caught him with his guard down and tossed that right hand to Louis's jaw. But Louis was going away with the punch at the time. Now Max is backing away against the ropes. Louis is following him and watching for that chance. He is crowding Schmeling. Schmeling is not stepping around very much, but his face is already marked. And they stepped into a fast clinch. And at close range, Louis fights desperately to bring up a left to the jaw and a right to the body. And coming out of that clinch, he got over a hard right and then stabbed Max with a good straight left jab, and Max backed away and missed the right. Louis then cracked him with 2 straight lefts to the face and brought over that hard right to the head, high on the temple, and Max tied him up in a clinch and broke ground. His back against the ropes again. They're not too close to the ropes. Louis out, and Louis missed with a left swing, but in close, brought up a hard right overcut and a right to the jaw, and again a right to the body, a left hook, a right to the head, a left to the head, a right. Schmeling is going down. But he held to his feet, held to the ropes, looked to his corner in helplessness, and Schmeling is down. Schmeling is down. The count is 4. And he's up, and Louis, right and left to the head, a left to the jaw, a right to the head, and Donovan is watching carefully. Louis measures him, right to the body, a left hook to the jaw, and Schmeling is down. The count is 5, 6, 7, 8. The men are in the ring. The fight is over on a technical knockout. Max Schmeling is beaten in 1 round. The first time that a World Heavyweight Championship ever changed hands in 1 round, in less than a round.